James Turner for the Untouchable, True School Sports. Let's go, baby. Bow!
Be careful what you wish for because it can become a reality.
Yeah. The Untouchable, True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. All right, so let's talk about it because we live in a world now where Dmitry Bivol is your undisputed light heavyweight champion, and Artur Beterbiev unfortunately has a loss. So, a lot to unpack here. I'm not exactly sure where to start. I guess I'll start with the fight itself. This fight to me was much better than the first fight. Much better than the first fight because Artur Beterbiev was much better in this fight. In my opinion, I thought he was better in this fight. I think Artur Beterbiev looked more like the Artur Beterbiev that I'm accustomed to seeing in this fight. And it's funny because I'm not gonna use the word robbery for any fight. Like, I don't think Bivol got robbed in the first fight, and I don't think Beterbiev got robbed in this fight. I think they both deserve victories in both fights. They're both just so evenly matched, and that's part of what makes this rivalry between Bivol and Beterbiev so scintillating and so good for the boxing purists, right? There's criticism I could give of these fights, but I'm not gonna do that here. I'll save that for later on. I'll just say that they're both very evenly matched, and they're bringing out really high-level stuff out of each other in the boxing ring, right? So, Beterbiev, I feel like, was more of his normal destructive self against Dmitry Bivol. I truly believe that, especially in that first half of the fight, he looked like the Beterbiev that had, what was it, 20 knockouts in a row, whatever it was. But Bivol, being the master boxer and boxing savant that he is, the man who has mastered the sport and he has a PhD in boxing. In my opinion, I've said it many times, I will say it again. The best pure boxer in boxing today is not Terrence Crawford. It is not Naya Inoue. It is not Canelo Alvarez. It is not none of the guys that you want to hype up more than Bivol. The most pure boxer in our sport today is Dmitry Bivol. No doubt about it. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Dmitry Bivol is that guy, right? And so, being the best pure boxer in the sport today, he did what you would expect the best pure boxer in the sport today to do. And he made adjustments to Beterbiev in the later rounds. I feel like he upped his pace a bit more. He upped his output a bit more in the later rounds. There were a couple times where he turned Beterbiev, particularly in that 9th round. And the crazy thing is, a lot of these shots that he would throw, sometimes when he would put together 4 or 5 punch combinations, a lot of these punches wouldn't even land. But it doesn't matter, because if you're in a tight fight, to give the judges the impression that you're the guy that's busier, it can get you out of the rounds. And I feel like this worked in his advantage in this fight the way, Beterbiev's strength worked for him in the first fight. So that's why I think he got the nod. It was very close. I personally don't think Beterbiev lost, but I'm not angry about the decision. I think both fights could have been draws. I think both fights could have had either guy winning by a point. That's the kind of margins we're talking about when we talk about Bivol versus Beterbiev. So that's not really what I want to talk about in this video. The fight was great. The fight was really good. The fight was really entertaining. It was very high level stuff. But that's not really what I want to talk about in this video. What I want to really drive through people's heads, and they're not gonna. Some people may like this. Some people may not like it. It doesn't matter. I'm not really here for people's approval. I'm just here to give my thoughts on boxing, and you guys can take and do with it what you want. But there's always a lot of talk about pound for pound, like who is the best fighter in boxing today, and we get a lot of word salad, unified, undisputed, all that stuff, right? And I think sometimes it can just really distract from what the point of all this is. Is it cool to be undisputed? Of course. Is it great to be lineal? Cool. Yes, it's amazing. Is it great to be unified? Absolutely. But when you get to the nitty-gritty and the core of what boxing is really about, it's about who have you beat? Who have you fought? Have you fought the best guys in and around your weight? And when you did fight those guys, how did you perform against them? Did you beat them? And what level did you operate at, right? So when you talk about which fighter in boxing today, who has beaten the best competition in boxing, once again, it's not Crawford. It's not Inoue. It's not even Canelo, honestly. The guy, the only fighter in boxing I would definitely say who has a better resume than Bivol because of the amount of top fighters he's beaten and going undisputed twice and then giving up 40 pounds in size and beating up Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua is Alexander Usyk. But apart from Usyk, in my opinion, and even even Usyk, even with Usyk, right? Because Usyk has beaten more quality guys than Bivol, that's for sure. But if we're talking about who has beaten the best fighters in boxing, who did you beat? The guy with the best resume is Bivol, hands down. Oh my God, Bivol's resume now looks crazy. It looks absolutely crazy because, first of all, we'll start with Artur Beterbiev, right? This is a guy, Artur Beterbiev, who I always thought, I'll be honest with you, I always thought Beterbiev was such a great fighter that I never thought he would lose a fight. So this is kind of crazy for me to see him lose a fight. Just being honest, I never thought he would lose a fight. So the fact that Bivol beat Beterbiev already with me has put him in another stratosphere. But Artur Beterbiev was 20-0 with 20 knockouts before he fought Bivol. He was, even in a loss, he was the first guy to take Beterbiev the distance and never hit the canvas against Beterbiev. And truth be told, a lot of people thought it was a disputed decision. A lot of people thought he beat Beterbiev, as well as, both fights are kind of the same, right? You got people from both sides saying their guy won. And then he comes back in the rematch against, in my opinion, a better Beterbiev, a more fresh Beterbiev. You can tell the knee injury wasn't bothering him as much in this fight as it did in the first fight, which is why he was so much more aggressive in the early part of the fight. So, in my opinion, he actually beat a better version of Beterbiev in the rematch than he would have if he did in the first fight. So, he's now undisputed. He's now in the elite class being undisputed, and he beat, a great fighter to do it, right? So, he has Beterbiev on his resume, right? He beat Canelo, right? And Canelo, people like to say, oh, Canelo was smaller. He came up in weight, this, that, and the third. Look, man, Canelo Alvarez was the light heavyweight champion of the world at one point. He beat Kovalev. He wasn't too small for Kovalev. He vacated the belt, so he didn't have to fight Beterbiev back then, right? Canelo was frightened to death, scared shitless of Artur Beterbiev. I asked the man in person myself, about Artur Beterbiev. He didn't even want to say Artur Beterbiev's name, okay? So Canelo at that time, you gotta remember, Canelo at that time was talking about going to cruiserweight. He was regarded by many as the best fighter in boxing. Not by me, I didn't think that, but a lot of people did. And Bivol was really supposed to be just a blip on the radar screen in the gravy train of Canelo Alvarez and the money-making machine that Canelo Alvarez is in boxing. That's not what happened when Bivol fought Canelo. If you guys forgot what happened to Canelo in that fight, let me refresh your memory. Canelo got absolutely, positively exposed by Dmitry Bivol. No ifs, ands, or buts about it, right? So he outclassed Canelo Alvarez in that fight. And then after that Canelo Alvarez fight, he beat Gilberto Soto Ramirez, who at the time was 44-0, former super middleweight champion. And look how great that win has aged. He's went on to become not just the first Mexican cruiserweight champion of all time, but he's now a unified cruiserweight champion when he beat Chris Billon Smith. So you look at just those three wins. Canelo, Beterbiev, Zoro. Listen, guys. I don't care what fighter you name in boxing. Name them. Crawford, Inoue, Usyk, whoever. Take the top 3 wins of any fighter in boxing right now, and it ain't fucking with what Bivol has done, beating Canelo, Beterbiev, and Zotto. You can argue about depth, because, okay, after you get past those 3 wins, Bivol beat Craig Richards, who was a good, solid contender. Joe Smith Jr., former world champion. Jean Pascal, former world champion. Isaac Chilemba, former world title challenger. Sullivan Barrera, former, top contender. He beat, he's beating some good fighters outside of that top 3. But I'm talking about, if you could take every fighter in boxing right now, their 3 best wins, and you match them up, they're not holding a candle to Bivol. They're not. Not Canelo, not Usyk, not Inoue, not Crawford, not none of them guys. Because if you look at Canelo, right? Canelo, all the guys that you would say would have been better wins for what Bivol has in his resume. He lost to those guys. He lost to Mayweather, He lost a lot of those guys. He beat Golovkin in the second fight. I don't think Golovkin is better than Beterbiev. I don't. And a lot of people may disagree with that, but I don't think Golovkin was a better fighter than Artur Beterbiev. No way. That might be a hot take, but that's just what I feel. So, you look at Usyk. Usyk beat more guys, but I don't think Fury and Joshua or Marius Breedis or any of those guys at cruiserweights are as good as Artur Beterbiev. So that's where I'm saying Bivol, his top 3 wins in boxing on his resume blow everyone out the water. Canelo, Beterbiev, Zotto. I'll take that against any other 3 top wins that you can name for any fighter in boxing. And for me, that's why I'm saying I'm not getting into the whole arguments and the what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not getting into like the word play and the word salad of, oh, well, he was undisputed, he was lineal. I'm not getting into all that. I don't care about. I care about it, but I don't really care about it in this context. My argument isn't that, you know, Bivol has the most accomplishments, because he doesn't. He hasn't been undisputed as much as Crawford or Usyk, or he hasn't been lineal as much as those guys because he hasn't fought in as many weight classes as those guys. That's not my argument. My argument is, if we're talking about the top level wins, the best wins you can get in and around your weight in boxing, you take Bivol's best 3 wins and you match him up against anybody in boxing. I think he has the best 3 wins in boxing: Beterbiev, Canelo, Zolder Ramirez. Right? So that's what I'm standing on. I think in that context, in that regard, Bivol has the best resume. Now, obviously, of course, if you start talking about who won the most Ring Magazine lineal titles and who went undisputed more and who defended the belts more and things like that, he's not the best in boxing at that. But I'm just taking it. I'm taking it to the most simplest thing possible in boxing. Fuck the titles. Fuck the lineal. Fuck undisputed. Who did you beat? And if we're talking about who did you beat, nobody's beating better fighters than Bivol, and I'm leaving it at that. So you guys can argue in the comments. I'll read them. They're always fun to read. But leave your comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me. But I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys. Thank you for watching another video on the untouchable True School Sports Empire. For more great boxing content just like this, make sure you click right over here.